Hello everybody. Welcome to the stream where we have a little bit of news out of a potential Leeds United move, don't we? Which is quite fun. Dr. Cox, no, I've not borrowed Joe Wayman's watch again. I think you will find that this was scheduled for 2 o'clock anyway, and I got started at 2 o'clock. So there, I finally worked through the issues that I was having with the streaming software, which is a nice little start. But, yeah. We have to talk about the potential move of Bilal El Khannouss from Leicester City to Leeds United. I'll have a quick zoom in. I'll get the nice calming guitar music to go away, so it's fine. 1 minute past. It wasn't on my end. To be fair, it was on the hour on my end. Let me have that one. That's okay. So I'm going to hop into what all of the news is, what it means, what is likely to happen next, and ultimately how we're feeling. So, to begin with, let's hop over to monitor number 2. Sasha Tavolieri came out with what he believed was an exclusive, but it wasn't because it was also sort of reported by Santi Auna at the same time. A meeting was held between Leeds United and Bilal El Khannouss's camp, during which Leeds made clear they're willing to pay the £24.5 million release clause, with solidarity and contribution to Leicester City, which is available until the 15th of August. Now, this is a pretty significant one, because Bilal El Khannouss has a hell of a lot of potential as a player. I'm really annoyed, by the way, that I got to this little bit of news second, because Mr. Joe Wayman went live 6 minutes before I was ready to go live, because I was preparing a slightly different stream at the same time. But it's fine. Whatever, the guy is ridiculously quick. Fair play to him. There's a little bit more detail in the article that was put out by Santi Auna, I believe, stating that we reached out to his camp specifically rather than Leicester City, which means that whilst we have effectively said we're happy to pay the release clause, that's not functionally us saying to Leicester we're going to pay the release clause. It's a weird little workaround thing. It's not us having paid it yet, it's us expressing to El Khannouss that we would be happy to and that we are interested in having him at Leeds United. The interesting way of approaching this is that this is our way of saying, do you want to come to Leeds United? Which is fair enough. Us asking the question of the player is absolutely essential as a first step, because if you don't ask the question, you could end up going in for a player that doesn't actually want to be there. In my opinion, if he didn't want to be here, this bit of news wouldn't have come out, but I think there is a second little angle on that one, which is specifically around why the news has come out. Because we need to note that us having an interest in a player, sure, is going to be reported all over the shop. Us having an interest in triggering a player's specific release clause and stating that there is a strict deadline on said release clause is a little bit more suspicious. Is incredibly suspicious. Especially when it specifically mentions 2 other clubs that haven't yet made a bid. So, if I'm being a little bit of a cynic on this one, and I don't like to be cynical, you guys know this of me at this point, then I would say that this news has come out of Bilal El Khannouss's camp, and it has gone to specifically to Volieri, who specialises in Belgian football. El Khannouss was at a Belgian club immediately before going to Leicester City. And the news has come out to basically be an invitation to Crystal Palace and to Leipzig to say, if you guys want to sign El Khannouss, you have until the 15th of August. Because after that, things will get a lot more expensive for you, and also get a shift on, because Leeds also have an interest. Specifically around what's being mentioned in the chat, there was a quick note that I spotted earlier by Hannah here, saying that even with a release clause, they don't have to say yes. There's a little bit of complexity around that one, where, sure, the player doesn't need to say yes. In the event that we trigger that release clause that is the right amount of money, the player doesn't necessarily have to come to Leeds United. It is still his choice whether he wants to stay at Leicester or go to a different club. However, Leicester don't have the choice here. The option is all entirely down to El Khannouss, which puts us, in my opinion, in a little bit of a dangerous situation. A situation that we're a little bit familiar with here at Leeds United, which is sitting, waiting for a player to make their mind up, whilst there are other clubs in European competitions that also have an interest in that player. And that's not really where we want to be. As Steve has said, the agent seems to be touting him, which is evidently true. Because you don't tend to in just standard press releases, say things along the lines of, there's still no offer from these two other clubs, that's what tips me off and makes me think, maybe there's a little something here that isn't necessarily what Leeds United want to see, which is a little bit disappointing and sad. I'm going to have a quick zoom in on the article itself and see if there's anything further on it surrounding... oh, fuck off, Paixão. They've announced Paixão at Marseille. It's very weird that I've not found a mention of it on the website where it specifically links and says more on the story here, which is a little bit of a shame. But that's fine. If you're going to run a Twitter account and not actually link to your own news stories, that's your decision to make, you know? It's nuts, but it's your decision to make. And the fact that this has now been retweeted by FPL23 also tells me that there is going to be something behind it, because the guy tends to be spot on when it comes to signings and when it comes to, are Leeds United actually doing the things that the news is coming out about Leeds United doing? When it comes to people's concerns about El Khannouss, right? I understand where some of them are coming from, because obviously people are going to be a little bit worried, because they see the numbers from last year and they go, ugh, those aren't very pretty numbers, because they're not. Like, let's be completely honest here. If I hop on over to the second monitor again, it's not great. Very few goals, minimal XG, not great on terms of shots taken per 90, assists below average, expected assists above average, which is interesting. That's the bit that I'm looking at right now. Because everything that I've heard from this guy, everything I've heard about this guy, sorry, thanks words, is interesting. Because I'm going to bring up what I had a chat with Lockie about before I came on stream. Because not Lockie, Locks. Because I think there's a lot of interesting stuff going on here. So I reached out and asked, yo, very quick question, what can you tell me about El Khannouss, like his level, likely to move, etc. To which Locks responded, likely to leave, yes, likely to leave to a newly promoted team in Season 1, no. Which is fair enough, I understand the idea behind that. He's going to want to secure his future because he's still a very, very young player. What was interesting to me is the further detail that Locks was able to give in terms of the player and his style and all that kind of stuff. So, Prem quality, I firmly agree with that, to be honest, from everything that I've seen of the guy. Ceiling is Champions League level in the future, our best player in the second half of the season. So, took a little bit of time to adapt, grew into it. If he's coming right back into the Premier League, that adaptation time isn't necessarily going to be a problem, because he's played in the division before. Not a goal scorer, which understandable looking at those numbers. Not even necessarily an assister, but super important in build-up and making things happen. Consider him a pre-assist king. This is what I kind of want to see from us right now. That was immediately followed by him saying, early rumours suggest a release clause in the region of £20 million. Reports suggest it's rubbish and we take 30 million plus. That now seems to be very much actually the case. He'd call him a wide playmaker, so potentially someone that would drift out to the left, a different profile to the wingers that we already have out there. So Nonto is someone that I would say is a little more direct and will try to score goals. James will get to the byline, whip in some crosses. Ramazani just does Ramazani things. El Khannouss is more of that passer, someone that will investigate spaces, cause problems for other clubs. And I think a profile that we don't have yet is something that could be a massive benefit to us. He also said he somehow said he'd rip the league apart. Is 90% sure that he will leave the club, so that's sort of positive for us, but very, very interesting. Someone that progresses the ball up the pitch is something that we will need next season, and something that I'm very much looking forward to signing. Am I able to get his numbers? There we go, that'll do it. So, compared to other central midfielders, is perhaps where the numbers will be a little bit more accurate. So, we're looking at this graph on the right-hand side. If I can put it in the right place. Where the hell's my graph gone? There we go. Why is that thing at the top? Ah! I hate how easy it is to get lost on FBref. That's fine. Right, okay, cool. So in terms of touches in the middle third, the fact that he's in the top 12% for touches in the middle third whilst playing for a club that got relegated is kind of excellent. That's very, very good stuff. In terms of touches live ball, 65%. Passes received isn't great, but that's mainly because obviously if your team doesn't have the ball very much, they're not going to be passing to you very much, especially if you're in a more advanced position. Progressive passing distance is a very important one that puts him in the top 10%, which is a strong-ass place to go. Carrying the ball, not fantastic. We've got to be honest about that, but carrying distance, also not wonderful. It's what he does on the defensive side as well that is kind of good. Percentage of dribblers tackled, so the percentage of dribblers that are running at him, he's better than 86% of midfielders, which if you're looking at him as a number 10, is bloody good. And it says that he's going to put his effort in at both ends of the pitch, which we will ultimately need this season. We've got to be aware of that fact. In addition to that, percentage of aerials won, surprisingly good in the air compared to other midfielders, which I'm not going to complain about in the slightest. I'm going to see if I can get to his dribbling stats as well. So key passes, very good, especially when compared to wingers. But again, he's not strictly going to be a winger for us. We need to remember this. He's going to be playing on the inside more often than not. The way that it was written was on paper he'll be a 10, but he'll drift into those wide areas, which I won't particularly have an issue with. It's something that Gnonto already effectively does for us, whilst being on paper the winger, he drifts into that same sort of half space. Whether or not Khannouss would be a good move is a pretty big question. And it depends on what we're looking at, and it depends on what we expect to see next season. For me, I expect to see us not necessarily dominating games, but in a position where we do have control over the ball and control over territory on the pitch, we need to be taking full advantage of that. And if we're able to do that using El Khannouss as a nice little conduit in midfield. So again, going back to that mention, if he's not necessarily scoring the goals, he's not necessarily going to be getting the assists for you either. But he's there for the pre-assist. He's there for the ball to go through, find an excellent pass. Say if you are building up a move on one of the flanks. Ball comes inside to El Khannouss, picks out the right pass to set up the goal scorer. That's going to be invaluable. A lot of players will go into this, a lot of fans will go into this, looking at the list of players that Leeds United might potentially sign. And they will go, what are his pure assist numbers like? Or they'll go, how many goals does this number 9 score? And a lot of the time we don't think about what do they add to the rest of the play. The fact that Locks, being a Leicester fan, is potentially more upset at losing El Khannouss than any other player in that squad is very, very telling to me. And I think could put us in a very nice position if we do sign him, have that decent structure around him so we know that the rest of the midfield is incredibly good. We know we've got Anton Stack in that defensive midfield position. We know that we've got Ampadu alongside, or we've got Longstaff in place to do the box-to-box work. We've got a structure that works really well to plug in someone that can do the creative work. We just don't have someone that does the creative stuff yet. And I very, very genuinely think El Khannouss does that job very, very well. So if we are able to make that move, I'm going to be very happy. If is the big question. Because whilst I think signing El Khannouss makes a massive difference to the club, as does the potential risk of him going to Palace. Because in the event that he goes over to Crystal Palace, then that's another player, a potential rival that causes a problem. And I will be very, very clear about this because I have been for a little bit of a while. Where's my brain gone? I don't know. Yes. Palace have a lot more football to play this season. Palace are being dragged into European competition, which, sure, is a nice thing to have. It means more revenue. But European competition in and of itself doesn't increase the size of your squad and doesn't increase the quality of your squad. If anything, it means that your players are more in the shop window. They're losing Eze, as one example. So in the event that they are just sort of sat there, adding a little bit of quality to their side, they could be in deep, deep shit this season. And whilst the Conference League is a little bit of a draw, you're adding maybe a dozen matches to their season. And that goes from a Premier League season to Championship with a reasonable cup run, and that's without adding the domestic trophies. I think Palace aren't going to be in a good spot. I think they'll be lower in the league than we're expecting next season because of player fatigue causing significant issues. But I still think he might want to go over there. And Liverpool want Gay. That's another pretty damn big note, especially to fill in for, is it Kanate, maybe? Who has a year left on his contract. A year or two, I don't know, but Real Madrid are doing their bullshit all over again. Which is nice, which is fun to see. I hate Real Madrid so much. Where was I? Hating Real Madrid. I don't know. But I feel if we get Khannouss done, we're in a very nice spot. Leipzig are another potential issue. I don't know if Leipzig have European football next season, because I remember seeing something like Leipzig have underperformed for like the first time. So I'm going to have a very quick look at RB Leipzig. That is definitely not Red Bull and is instead Rasenballsport. They came 7th in the Bundesliga, so they've not got fantastic European football either. We stand in reasonably good stead here. And yes, in the immediate term, we are a risky move for El Khannouss to go for, and he might find further benefit from looking at Leipzig, or he might find a further benefit from looking at Palace. Are they in the Europa League? I wasn't convinced. I thought they didn't get there by coming 7th. I'll have a very quick look for you, just to make sure. RB Leipzig 25-26 season. Not kit, season. There we go. No, they've not got European football. According to Wikipedia, at the very least, the 25-26 season will be the 17th in the history of RB Leipzig and the club's 10th consecutive in the Bundesliga. In addition to the domestic league, the club will be participating in the DFB Pokal. So they've not got European football. Which, sure, in the long run, they're potentially going to get Europa League, Champions League, all this fun stuff. But if he wants to give himself the biggest possible sort of stage at the moment, I'll be completely honest. If I'm in his boots, I'm probably looking in the direction of Palace first. Because Palace are in a very good spot right now, although there is the risk of that extra fatigue leading to them struggling in the league. But we're up there for candidates of places to go. And I think if we do trigger that release clause, because a lot of people will be saying, trigger the release clause, then he has to be ours. That's not the case. The player still has a choice. It's just Leicester don't get to stop us. But the player can. I think it'd be one of those where the best thing that we can do right now we've got an idea of interest, is go in there and say, look, we've triggered the release clause on time. Now it comes down to El Khannouss. And then you are basically inviting Palace and Leipzig and anyone else that might have a little bit of interest to dive in head first. We're giving them the challenge, and we're effectively saying, all right, prove that you have an interest as well. Because if they don't bid at that point, very, very clearly, the best place for El Khannouss to go is Leeds, because we've shown that we have an interest and we want to make the move. And us making that first step is also going to work in our favour, because Palace haven't made the first step to dive in and get the job done, but Leeds did. So I think there are significantly worse spots for Leeds United to be in right now, and if we take that first step, at worst, we invite the challenge. On the Buendia thing, I am absolutely not convinced by Buendia. I've got to be honest with you. He spends a lot of time out injured, and I know that we were in the same situation with Manor Solomon, but last season getting a grand total of, I'm going to do the maths off the top of my head, 355, 380, he got 480 minutes last season. And that included after a transfer going to Bayer Leverkusen. Not for me. I've got to be honest with you. Bayer Leverkusen were like, yeah, sure, we will sign you and you will add to our squad. And then he didn't even get minutes after that point. Which to me is concerning, because even the club that really wanted him didn't want him on the pitch. That's why I'm not tempted to go in the direction of Emi Buendia and would instead go towards an El Khannouss or someone like that, who at the very least will get you a bit of resale value as well. I don't think there's much resale in a Buendia, which is a shame, because there is very clearly a player there. But I don't know if he's the player that we need right now. Rysel says we've got a lot of work to do. I do believe we reel in West Ham, Everton, Wolves, Palace, Brentford. They're not good. West Ham and Everton have lost serious players. They have. But we need to position ourselves at this point. And I think by getting in the conversation for El Khannouss as early as we can, we benefit quite a lot. Hannah, we cannot be basing our recruitment on how attractive potential players would look in the kits. Admittedly, he looked mighty fine in that kit, but that's not the reason that we'd need to sign him. Anyway, I'm not going to stream for a super long time right now because, I'll be honest, I'm kind of experimenting with some like sub half-hour streams. I kind of want to see what it does with like viewer attention, stuff like that. But I will stick around for a little bit of a natural again. Are things moving again, asks Andy. I believe things do be moving again, or at least things never stopped moving, but we are now able to see the movement. It's not a bad recruitment policy. It's not a great recruitment policy if we want to stay in the league. I recognise your support of it, and I wouldn't do so myself. Do you think Khannouss is another pie show? I must learn from that. Get in, get your signature, pay the man. I think we get in and then wait and see what happens. If we manage to put that bid on the table and say 24.5, Leicester, you have to take it, the ball's in your court, El Khannouss. At that point, we've done everything that we can. Beyond there, it's not our problem anymore. And we can say, look, we're having conversations with other wing options, because those conversations will be happening anyway. But if we make that first step, at least we're getting started. And that's all I really want to see us do. If we're proactive and we are looking at getting those moves done, then I'm not going to have a single complaint about what Leeds United do, because we're heading in the right direction. Off topic, but did you move house or change room for the streams? I didn't move house. I didn't change room. I turned the room around. So this is now the wall that was in front of me, and the big blue wall is now behind the PC, because I fancied a change. This is a little bit more space for me as well. It's a better setup for the office as more than just a streaming space. So I don't know what I'm going to do in terms of like furnishings and stuff in various corners and all that kind of thing. But at the moment, I'm fairly happy with what this setup looks like at the moment. Yeah. We have to pay the man, make a big play. I think we'll pay what we can. I miss the shelf. I don't, I'll be honest, the shelf a lot of the time got in my way when I was trying to move around, and I knocked things off it all the time, and whilst it wasn't especially visible on stream as being an issue, it was visible for me. And whilst the shelf was a nice bit of set dressing, I don't think the shelf was brilliant as something to have in the space. You know, no, I'm not adding a jet washer. That one's staying in the garage, because I actually use it sometimes. It's great. Sorry, I am currently just picking a scab. I know I shouldn't be doing that, and it makes me look like I'm like a bit dinosaur-y. But that was weird. Why did I do that? I don't know. It's because I'm tired, and because I didn't expect to do another stream until this evening. But there was a bit of news, so I figured we might as well talk about the news. And then here we are. Make the room into a full car wash. No, I don't even have a car. Why would I have a car wash? I think a couple of plants would be look nice. Where am I putting them though? Because I don't really want to put shelves up, because shelves get in the way of the spinny chair. So I like the idea. I don't like the practice. Also, yesterday I knocked this thing off the wall, which was a problem. However, I've managed to put it back up. It's not fallen off since, which is nice, you know, which is good. But anyway, I'm going to run a very, very quick poll, because I want to see what people think. Will we sign El Khannouss? Simple yes, no. I want to know what you guys are thinking. And then once the poll has a decent number of answers, I will dip off the stream. But I kind of want to know where people are leaning on it. Okay, no, in fact, I'll change the poll. I've got a slightly different idea for the poll. It won't be that. Will we and should we sign El Khannouss? Should and will. Should and won't. Shouldn't and will. Shouldn't and won't. There we go. That splits things up a little bit better. Do you think Leeds will hold on to the top 8's coattails at home? I've got no idea, I've got to be honest with you. Going into the season, I am approaching everything with a completely plain mindset. Because this squad, we don't know how it translates to the Premier League yet. We don't know how Tanaka does in the Premier League. We don't know how Stack will do in the Premier League. I'm not going to make any massive predictions on our sort of Premier League outcomes and survival and all that kind of stuff until we are probably at deadline day. Like, whenever people are like, I made early predictions for the Premier League, cool, you've managed to get the vague continent that some of the teams are going to be in. But you're going to miss out on a hell of a lot of stuff. A hell of a lot of detail. Currently, 76% of people think that we should sign El Khannouss, with only 33% thinking that we will. And then 24% of people think that we shouldn't sign him, and we also won't sign him, which is kind of interesting. Curious about the thinking behind that. Put up a dartboard with Jack Harrison. Nah, you're alright, so you and Evie doing a deadline day stream all day. I imagine probably not all day, that would be a nightmare. But I like doing those longer streams on deadline days. It won't be an all day thing, but it'll be for a good while. Very quickly going to check something actually. What day is deadline day? This coming window. It's a Sunday. Okay, that could make it difficult because I'm probably working. No, wait, hold on. Does it close on the 1st? Deadline day. 2025 summer. Shit. Okay. Right, it's deadline day is on the same day as I have 7 aside. Which could be a problem. Because I'm missing 7 aside 2 weeks before that as well. For the Everton match. Shit. I'll do my best. I'll do my best to stream it. Bin 7 aside. I don't think I can bin 7 aside. I think in terms of where we are in the league, I would miss out quite a lot by binning 7 aside. So at the moment we are, let's have a look, at Championship because we didn't manage to remain in the Premier League. Yeah, so it's a 7 aside league. That's 12 teams in it. Halfway through the season it splits. So we're in the bottom half, and we are currently, because the points reset in the second half of the season, we are currently 4th after a couple of games. But both of those matches we should have won. And I don't want to miss out on us potentially grabbing some very, very nice positions in that league. Because I want to win the league. I've still got my medal from when I won that league the first time. And that was the league. That wasn't like the bottom half. That was when it was all 12 teams. You may miss out on the signing Kirstovic, Douglas Luiz, Muniz, Buendia, El Khannouss. Maybe. I might do a stream from there, actually. Let's have a look. Where's the thing I'm looking for? Right, 1st of September. Oh, it'd be 2 consecutive matches. Because we miss a bank holiday. Wait, who does he play for? Piss. Okay, I might be able to stream for like an hour longer than I expected, but I won't be able to do the whole thing, which is a bit of a shame. It's fine, I'll work something out. It'll be right. All is well. Well, what come down Pie showed some Leicester player. That's not... Okay. Yeah, I thought the narrative would be that. But it's fine. It's not a bad thing in the slightest. We will be okay. And I accept the worry, and I appreciate that it's basically inevitable, but who knows? Last deadline day you were having a knobbly knees contest. I don't remember that, but that sounds like the kind of thing that I would do. Which, I mean, fair enough. Anyway, I'm not going to be streaming for too much longer because I am going to actually go and get some food because I said I would do that after the first stream and then we got a little bit of news. But I'm going to actually get some food. I'm going to ping you guys over in the direction of Matt, though, because I always like Matt's streams. They're good to hang out. Plus, the guy is now stupid close to 1,000 subscribers. I'm going to quickly have a look at where he's at, actually, in terms of numbers. Thank you, Matt. I heard that. He's currently at 844 subs. He's 160 away, give or take. He's 156 out. There's 157 people here right now. So if we end the stream, everyone goes over and subscribes. That's Matt at 1,000. And the moment you hit 1,000 subscribers, YouTube starts treating you like a person, and it's a massive, massive benefit for you going forwards. So I'm going to bring the stream to a close, but I'm also going to recommend that everyone heads over to Matt's stream, goes over, pops a like on it, something in the comments, subscribes. We're going to get him to 1,000. We've got this. Anyway, I'm going to end the stream there. I've got to eat something. Hope you enjoyed the stream. If you did, please pop a like on it. That's always absolutely fantastic. Subscribe if you haven't yet, because subscribing is the lifeblood of a YouTube channel sometimes. And you can even become a channel member. It's $2.99 a month, and it's just lovely, and it makes sure that I'm able to keep doing this more consistently and not panic about finances whilst I'm doing YouTube instead of work. So thank you. Anyway, hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you all later. Toodaloo.